It was here in the Charminster area of Bournemouth that a Korean student, Yong-ok Shin, known as Oki, was stabbed. This man, Omar Benguit, was convicted of her murder.
This conviction's unsafe. It's probably a good idea to start considering other suspects.
Who's this guy?
Danilo Restivo. He was a danger to women, and he was a very strong suspect.
The first time I met him, he absolutely freaked me out. I just had a feeling that something was going to happen here.
Bronagh, this is Potenza, here laid out in front of us.
Restivo from the same town?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm in southern Italy to learn about Danilo Restivo, the man Amy believes could have killed Oki. I've come with a colleague, Andy, who's been looking into his background. Restivo was infamous here. He is linked to the tragic disappearance of a teenage girl over 20 years ago.
This became a big story here in Italy, kind of like Madeleine McCann. You can speak to, ask anyone on the street, Elisa Claps, have you heard that name? And they'll go, of course, they'll know. So I've tracked down her brother, who's called Gildo. He's become quite well known in Italy, and he's going to have a chat with us.
Gildo. Ciao Andy. Ciao. Come va?
Ciao. Buongiorno. Hi.
Nice to meet you. Prego, accomodatevi.
Grazie.
You look very happy here.
Yeah, una vita fa. Un'altra vita.
Another
life.
Another life.
La più piccola di casa, ovviamente era quella più coccolata da tutti.
Gildo's sister Elisa was just 16 when she went missing back in 1993. The last person she met was 21-year-old Danilo Restivo.
Ammise ovviamente subito di averla incontrata, disse sì, l'ho vista uscire dalla chiesa e da allora non l'ho più vista. Era esitante, balbettava, non era assolutamente convincente. Ho capito immediatamente già che lui fosse implicato e sapesse che cosa era successo ad Elisa. Da lì in poi sono entrato in quell'incubo che è durato 20 anni.
The church where Restivo and Elisa met was searched. So was the town. But Elisa was never seen alive again. The finger of suspicion was soon pointed very publicly at Restivo.
Cominciammo a scoprire delle cose di Restivo che ci terrorizzarono perché ci confermarono ovviamente che era successo qualcosa di gravissimo. Talmente tanti indizi che Danilo Restivo fosse una persona assolutamente pericolosa. Io ho detto Danilo Restivo è l'assassino di Elisa, l'ho detto pubblicamente attraverso trasmissioni televisive perché ero assolutamente convinto che fosse lui.
The mystery of Elisa's disappearance gripped the entire country.
Elisa, se mi ascolta mamma, sappi che sei il bene più caro che abbiamo.
Io so chi mi ha fatto.
It was widely believed that Restivo had murdered Elisa and hidden the body. A picture emerged of a social misfit with a history of stalking women and an obsession with violence. And there was something else. Restivo had a fetish for women's hair.
È noto a Potenza per le sue stranezze. Ha un vizio, si avvicina furtivamente alle ragazze e taglia loro ciocche di capelli.
But there was still no solid evidence Restivo had harmed Elisa, and he stuck to his story that they had parted company in the church.
Verso mezzogiorno meno 10 è uscita, mi ha detto solo che doveva andare in campagna.
3 years after Elisa disappeared, Restivo was eventually charged, not with murder, but with lying to a judge about his movements on the day she went missing. He was convicted and sentenced to 20 months in prison. No further legal action was taken against him.
I'm sure you couldn't believe it. What did you do?
Che cosa ho fatto? Da quel giorno si può dire che l'ho inseguito, la mia famiglia, gli ha dato la caccia perché ero fermamente convinto che Restivo fosse un assassino pericoloso, perché sapevo che prima o poi dalla città in cui lui in quel momento risiedeva sarebbe arrivata la notizia di un assassinio o di una scomparsa.
That in 2002, Danilo Restivo comes to Bournemouth. So he moves in here. Less than 3 months after he moves in, Oakie's killed here. 3 streets away from where Restivo was now living. Now, she's living locally as well, so she's actually living 2 streets away. He's reported to the police just after Oakie's murdered.
What did the police say?
Restivo is not a suspect in this inquiry, Oakie's inquiry, but is worth of further note as he is still subject of ongoing inquiries into the disappearance of the girl in Italy. So at this stage, Dorset police have already arrested and have charged Omar Benguit and Nick Gabaramosi with Oakie's murder. But get this, that's not the last time that the Dorset police come across Restivo, because exactly 4 months to the day after Oakie's murdered, there is another murder nearby, and we know for sure he did this one. This is Danilo Restivo, caught on CCTV cameras on the morning that he kills a lady called Heather Barnett. She lived right across the road from him, and he killed her in her own home. And her mutilated body was found by her 14-year-old son and his sister.
I need an ambulance and the police.
I've got officers en route. What's happened?
My mum's just been murdered. This is not a joke.
Right, is that your mum I can hear in the background?
No, that's my blooming sister.
Right, so where's your mother then?
She's lying in the bathroom on her back.
And what's happened to her?
She's bloody had her pieces cut off her, for God's sake.
Right, now who's done that? I don't know.
That's where the murder took place. And that is Restivo's house. There.
God, it's so close.
Mm-hmm. So what do we know happened?
Well, so just after 4 p.m. on the 12th of November in 2002, 2 children came home from school and discovered that their mother, Heather Barnett, was dead on the bathroom floor. Her throat had been cut and her breasts had been cut off and left by her ears. It appears that she'd been left for them to discover her.
What about the knife used? What do they know about that?
They estimate it must have been sort of 14 centimetres, incredibly long.
It's roughly the size that they say that Oakie's killing weapon could have been. Is there anything else?
Yeah, there's the distinctive element that her hair is cut and a clump of unknown hair is found in her hand.
Heather's hand? Good evening, how you doing? Yeah. Chris House was a neighbour and friends with Restivo's partner, Thiama Mersango. He remembers coming home that day to find the street cordoned off by police.
It was eerie, very eerie. I thought something's gone on, so I started to make my way across the junction to my home, and as I passed the ambulance, I saw 2 police officers outside Heather's house guarding the entrance. Saw Thiama's gates open, walked up to the front door. I said, what's happened? And she goes, the kids came home and found their mother in the bathroom. So I said, where are the kids now? She goes, they're in here talking to the police. So I said, OK, I can see you're busy, I'll leave it to it.
So at that point, Heather's 2 children
within the house
are sitting in her house. So the traumatised children had run out into the middle of the street, and Thiama found them there, and she took them back to her own house, where Restivo himself comforted them. No child can ever get over that. Find your mother lying on the floor murdered, never mind brutalised like that.
We need to solve our next case fast.
Restivo had planned this murder meticulously. He left almost no forensic clues at the scene of the crime. And he kept one step ahead of the police for years.
Tell us about this fascination you had with hair and this hair.
Police were aware of Restivo's hair fetish, and he eventually became the prime suspect for Heather Barnett's murder. But there wasn't enough evidence to charge him. The breakthrough, when it happened, came from Italy.
Non amo più venire perché la rivivo ogni giorno.
The body of Elisa Claps was finally discovered in the very church where she had met Restivo the day she went missing.
You okay?
Ok. Mi sono passati davanti 17 anni come in un film e poi mi è esplosa una rabbia incredibile. Mi misi a urlare in macchina da solo e quindi in quel momento ho realizzato quello che già sapevo, cioè che Elisa non c'era più.
Elisa's remains helped prove that Restivo had killed Heather Barnett too. The bras of both women had been cut and their trousers pulled down. Both bodies were savaged with a blade. And both women had locks of hair left in their hands.
Buongiorno.
Thank you very much.
No, not at all. For Elisa, huh?
Il mio lungo viaggio nel buio è finito in una tiepida giornata di primavera. Sono finalmente a casa.
Grazie, Gilda.
Sì, veramente grazie, Gilda. Ok.
Restivo was given 2 life sentences for killing Heather and Elisa. But Elisa's brother thinks Restivo may have other victims.
Credo che forse valga la pena approfondire l'omicidio di Oki perché ci sono particolari che mi fanno pensare a Danilo Restivo. La sua personalità fa pensare che sicuramente aveva quasi un bisogno fisico di uccidere.
Gildo is right.
Thank you.
All 3 women were small, had dark hair and were attacked from behind.
Grazie.
But Oki's body and clothing were not interfered with in the same way as Elisa and Heather. I'll need more evidence to persuade me that Restivo also killed Oki. Back in Bournemouth, I arranged to meet Amy again at the crime scene.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, good to see you again.
You too.
Yeah.
You too. Hi.
Hi. So, from the last time we spoke about Danilo Restivo, I've had a good look at it, the cases. And although it's very interesting, and you can't overlook the fact that the killer is living 3 streets away, on the face of it, the crimes look very different to Oki's. And we know Oki's body wasn't touched and nothing was taken. So...
Well, I don't think he had time to finish what he set out to do that night. This is where I believe he was supposed to finish what he set out to do.
You think he was going to...
Drag her in here.
Drag her in here
Yeah.
and then...
Yeah. And did what he had to do.
And this is the lamppost where she fell, isn't it?
Yeah. But he ran off because obviously she let out a loud scream that the neighbours heard, so he didn't have time to finish.
Yeah, she screams 3 times.
Yeah. But I do believe this is where she would have been dragged and him to finish off. It's so secluded.
It's really secluded. I never looked at it like that before. I always just looked at it like an escape route for someone.
And it would be so dark at that time of
there's
night.
no lights down here.
There's no lights.
There's no lights, and there's really only very small windows overlooking it. It's interesting. Was there anything else found?
Oh, yes. The biggest one was the hair that was found in the scene.
What's the chances of finding hair in a murder scene when you've got a killer who's got a hair fetish 3 street away?
It's just mind-blowing.
How did you find that?
Yeah. I was reading through the exhibits and I saw it, and it was, again, I always think it was a sign from Oki, because I used to ask her, please give me a sign, and there it was.
So where was it found?
It was just out there. I think it was to the left-hand side, but within the cordoned off...
So on the pavement?
On the pavement.
The clump of hair was found close to Oki's blood stains. And Amy says she's got more evidence linking Restivo to the murder.
Bronagh, this is Omar's solicitor.
Pleased to meet you. It's probably one of the most...
Des Jensen has helped Amy investigate Restivo since Omar's conviction.
This is the clump of hair that was found on the scene of Oki.
Was it ever tested? I mean, surely, did it come back to anybody linked to Restivo, to anybody?
Well, they told us it was tested and the hair belonged to someone that lived locally. I really don't care where it came from. It's just far too much of a coincidence to you know, find hair within the victim's body.
I mean, is there anything else?
Well, we've got the 12th of each month. Elisa Claps was murdered on the 12th. Heather Barnett was murdered on the 12th. Oki was murdered on the 12th.
Yeah, but 3/12ths, you know, is a bit of a coincidence. It's still random.
It doesn't actually stop just there.
If you have a look at this is a police covert surveillance video of Danilo Restivo. He became a person of interest to the police who were investigating the murder of Heather Barnett. And they had him under covert surveillance for some time. And on one of those days, they followed him to a wooded area where he was seen to hide himself in undergrowth. We know from records that it was unseasonably warm that day. Restivo is wearing a heavy winter jacket, which is done up to the neck, which is a classic way of avoiding leaving any DNA traces at the scene. What we also know is that his behavior was so peculiar in relation to single women who were passing by that they feared that he was going to attack one of them. So they broke their cover and they took him back to his car. And in the car, they found a 6-inch knife and a balaclava. Here is the picture of the 6-inch knife. It fits exactly the description of the knife that the pathologist thought was used to kill Okshin.
So 6 inches, that's the length of Oki's stab wounds.
Stab wounds, absolutely.
Yep. And the other thing they found in the car was a balaclava. And you remember, Miss Okshin was the only one who survived her attack, at least for a short while. And before she died, she told the doctor who was tending to her that the man who attacked her wore a mask.
It was her dying declaration.
It was, yes.
Yeah. I think the police actually said on that day they actually caught him with his killing kit on him, i.e. the balaclava, the knife, gloves. There were 2 pairs of scissors. He was ready to strike again.
And that day was the 12th of May, 2004.
Another 12?
Another 12. That's 4 12ths.
What happened with this then?
When we went to the Court of Appeal in 2014, they considered it and then they dismissed it.
They threw it out. They said that the killings were different to Elisa Claps and Heather Barnett.
Are they different in what way?
The Court of Appeal described the killing of Miss Okshin as opportunistic, and the killings of Heather Barnett and Elisa Claps were obviously carefully planned. But you see, I would say that anybody who's stalking the streets at 2:30 in the morning in a quiet Bournemouth suburb has planned. He knows exactly what he's doing, that there are not going to be a lot of people around, and that once he's identified and followed his victim, he's likely to be able to operate without being disturbed. And that's exactly, we say, what he did.
This is all a collection of circumstantial evidence, you know, and it has been dismissed.
But I think you have to concede as well is that the evidence that has put Omar Benguit behind bars for the last 15 years was circumstantial as well. And the evidence of the main prosecution witnesses was highly suspect.
Come on, ask me some questions. Stop looking at me like that.
How do you feel now, knowing that you
helped to put a man in prison? I feel terrible. I feel disgusted in myself. You know what I mean? Someone should not be locked up for something they never done.